Sword and sorcery movies were very popular in the 80s for pretty much the same reason as post-apocalyptic movies. You can crank them out cheaply and quickly. Just get a castle, some woods, dudes in loincloths, a few scantily clad women, and you're golden. While sometimes they strive for greatness, like Conan the Barbarian, other times they are perfectly happy settling into knockoff territory. Deathstalker is a 1983 action fantasy movie from director James Ciberdelli. The movie opens with a very 80s thrash metal font. I think I saw these guys open for Overkill. A bunch of guys are jumping into frame. It's like they're already trying to flee the movie. The goblin guys track down a guy and a girl. He clearly isn't the hero since he escapes, leaving her behind. Oh, that and 5 seconds ago he was trying to rape her. Some of the goblins chase after him while Mick Fleetwood stays behind. He carries the girl after the group so he can point her ass at the camera. A lot. The thief almost gets away until he runs into the real hero of the film, Deathstalker. He fights off the goblin guys, kills the thief, and rescues the girl. Did I say rescue? I meant that other word that starts with R. Deathstalker's plundering gets interrupted.
What do you want?
Your name.
Outside. Wait for me there.
Outside? Isn't that where they are? He's distracted long enough for the girl to get away. The old man brings him to see the banished king. The king tells him about a wizard named Munkar who took over his kingdom and exiled him. The king tells him that he's the hero and the only one who can rescue his daughter and restore the kingdom. Deathstalker, our hero, the guy who clearly does not give a shit.
In olden times there were great heroes, men who'd ride off to save a maiden with never a thought to their own lives.
Well, those days are gone. I steal and kill to stay alive, not for the luxury of glory.
Over in the castle, Princess Cadil is being taken to Munkar's Chamber of Bitches.
Things have changed since your father's reign, haven't they, princess?
Yes, now there's 200% more naked women in the town's water supply. Oh no, we're in a Duran Duran video.
In touch with the ground, I'm on the hunt, I'm after you. Smell like a sound, I'm lost in a crowd, and I'm hungry like the wolf.
The princess tries to fight back, but gets knocked out into this conveniently placed pile of pillows. Kang, Munkar's general, is attacking an old witch to try to get a sword. It doesn't go so well. Deathstalker shows up and takes out Kang's guards. Kang uses his magic amulet to turn into a bird and fly away. Munkar has a chalice that's the source of all his power. The witch tells Deathstalker that he needs to get the magic sword. With the power of the sword, he can take the amulet from Kang, and then he can use that to take the chalice from Munkar, which will render him powerless. With the sword, amulet, and chalice together, he can defeat Munkar, and this is sounding an awful lot like Sword Quest. Deathstalker goes in search of the magic sword. He stops to get a drink, and good grief, can't this guy get 5 minutes peace? She tells him the sword is in the cave behind him. Convenient. He talks to Salmaron, the wisecracking puppet, who's the keeper of the sword. Then he's attacked by a giant for some reason. Deathstalker's losing to the giant, so Salmaron throws him the sword. So anyone could have wandered into the cave, lost a fight, and then received the super powerful sword as a reward? So now Deathstalker holds aloft his magic sword, says the phrase, "I have the power," and now he's He-Man. With his new power, Deathstalker chases off the giant. Salmaron asks Deathstalker to lead him out of the cave and end his curse. However, to do this, he needs to be a young boy. So he uses the power of the sword to turn Deathstalker into a boy to take him out of the cave, and they're just making this up as they go along, aren't they? Deathstalker takes him out of the cave and...
Where are you?
And now he's an adult again. Not far away, a woman is being held hostage by the lead singer of the Spin Doctors. A guy wearing a belly shirt comes to her rescue. I want a shirt that'll let me show off my abs, but I don't want to worry about getting a titty twister. He's almost killed when Deathstalker shows up to help him out. With the two warriors fighting together, they kill off the marauders and steal their precious Cherry's Jubilee. The midriff shirt guy is Ogress. He joins with Deathstalker and Salmaron. He informs them that Munkar is having a tournament for all the best fighters in the land. The winner will face off against him, and if Munkar is defeated, they gain the throne. Later that night, Ogress gets into a sword fight with Kyra, who has an even more ridiculous set of armor than he does. Kyra's also headed to the tournament. Deathstalker suddenly realizes that she's hot, so he invites her to join them. While Kyra's sleeping, Deathstalker decides to make his move. Jeez. He just climbs on top like a Great Dane and goes to town. Well, Samaran at least seems to be enjoying it. The next day, come, join us for the Pennsylvania Renaissance Festival. Fun and merriment for all. Huzzah! At Munkar's castle, the contestants are enjoying a night of debauchery before tomorrow's tournament. Female mud wrestling, gymnastics, midgets, a Gamorrean guard committing cannibalism. The usual. Kyra shows up wearing an outfit she borrowed from Lady Gaga. Munkar then makes his grand entrance. Is he aware of that thing on his head? Or did he pass out at the bar and his buddies drew on his head with Sharpie? A giant brawl breaks out. This part's hilarious. The pighead's beating up this guy, but his hand hurts from all the punching. So he rips off this guy's arm so he can continue the pummeling. After some time, the whole brawl just dissolves into a pillow fight. Munkar is not a terribly scary villain. He's about as frightening as Manos the Hands of Fate. Munkar doesn't want Deathstalker to compete in the tournament, so he turns one of his henchmen into Princess Cadil. Initially, he seems upset because his junk vanishes.
It's gone!
But after a few minutes, he starts to enjoy it. Now that he looks like the princess, he can surprise Deathstalker and backstab him. Either that, or he is going to spend the next week feeling himself up. The princess goes to see Deathstalker, and he immediately puts the moves on her. After a failed assassination attempt, Deathstalker throws her on the bed and... oh no. Deathstalker suddenly realizes that she is really a he. When she got undressed, it was a big ol' mess. Codiel was a man. So he threw him out. He don't mess around with no Oscar Mayer wiener. You must be sure that the girl is pure for the funky cold Medina. Outside of Deathstalker's chambers, the princess runs into Kyra.
Let's get you something to wear and get you out of here.
Something to wear? She's wearing more than you are. The princess turns back into a man and gets into a sword fight with her. Kyra kills the guy, but unfortunately he got a lucky jab in and she dies as well. Lots and lots and lots of burly men beating each other up in various silly ways. Think the early days of the WWF. In an interesting twist, it turns out that Ogress is in cahoots with Munkar. The two square off oily-chested style until Deathstalker breaks his neck. Day 2 of the tournament. The final two fighters are Deathstalker and Pigsy. After a brief fight, Deathstalker wins. Deathstalker goes looking for the amulet. I wouldn't get that wig so close to an open flame. If Munkar needs the amulet, then why wouldn't he keep it on his person instead of leaving it out in the open? Deathstalker kills Kang and takes the amulet. Hold on a second. A minute ago, before he was fighting Kang, he was reaching up to try to grab the amulet. Now look at this thing. It's like 10 feet away from him. He has to use the sword in order to even come close to the thing. So anyway, now with 2/3 of the power, he can take on Munkar. To mess with Deathstalker, he creates a few dozen doppelgangers. A bunch of bald guys with goatees, so he summoned an entire IT department. Deathstalker easily kills all the clones. He takes the chalice from Munkar and lets the audience kill him. And kill him they do. Deathstalker then uses his power to destroy the items so no one else can ever use them again. Buzzkill. The movie was filmed in Argentina in 37 days. Legendary low-budget filmmaker Roger Corman was the executive producer. He made a deal to secure enough money for a 5-picture deal, but spent most of the money on this. To fulfill the contract, he shot 4 more films using the same sets and even recycled footage from Deathstalker 1. The Goblin crew in the beginning was a local troupe of mimes. They were used there and then later again for some of the acrobatic scenes. The majority of the girls in the film were models from South Africa, and none of them spoke English. Awesome effects master John Carl Beekler did the makeup, and this was one of his first jobs. Even though the budget was extremely limited, he did a very good job. Beekler went on to do effects for Reanimator, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, and helped to design the creepy Garbage Pail Kids from the Garbage Pail Kids movie. Not to mention going off to film my personal favorite of the Friday the 13th series, Part 7. Munkar was played by Bernard Earhart. Sure, he was in Firefox, and he was Yul Brynner's backup in The King and I, but what really makes him awesome is that he was the voice of Psykill in the GoBots. Famous Playboy playmate Barbie Benton played the princess. After long runs on both Fantasy Island and The Love Boat, she had hoped to start a movie career with films like Hospital Massacre and Deathstalker. Neither was a hit, and she quickly returned to TV. The blinding light from the chalice was actually just a flashlight in a cup. Much of the movie ended up on the cutting room floor. Originally there was more backstory, the tournament was longer, and a few things were explained more. However, they wanted to be able to ship the film in 2 film canisters, and to do so, that meant to get the film in under 80 minutes. By shipping the film in only 2 cans, it drastically reduced their shipping fees, and the film could be shown more times in a day. There was a much longer cut of the film that's supposedly much better, but the film reels have long since been lost. The beautiful Lana Clarkson played Kyra. Even though her part in this movie was small, she was still a fan favorite. She was so popular, in fact, that a few years later, she flew back to Argentina and shot the spin-offs, Barbarian Queen 1 and 2. After that, she mostly did TV and had great success doing commercials for everything from Mercedes to Nike to Kmart. Unfortunately, in 2003, she was shot and killed in the high-profile murder case of the ghoulish music mogul Phil Spector. Spector is currently serving 19 years to life for her murder. Rick Hill was a great choice for the lead. While not the best actor, he said his ridiculous lines with such confidence it didn't matter.
This just isn't your day, is it?
The character of Deathstalker was an unusual one. He's supposed to be the hero, but really, he's kind of a dick, especially to women. I mean, 5 minutes into the movie, and he's almost raping the girl he just rescued. Although when you think about it, he is playing a barbarian, and traditionally, they aren't supposed to be nice guys. They basically take what they want and kill whoever gets in their way. The character of Deathstalker was set up to be like James Bond, with multiple actors playing him over the series. The first movie he was a barbarian, the second movie he was more of a wisecracking rogue, the third movie he was a complete wuss, and then the fourth movie he'll return to be the barbarian again. The amazing cover art is done by none other than the brilliant Boris Vallejo, who many people will know from his covers of heavy metal, as well as from the poster for National Lampoon's European Vacation. This movie is delightfully cheesy. It's a barbarian kicking ass and sexing up the ladies. They didn't pull any punches, there was plenty of gore and tons of nudity. The fight sequences, especially the one with Ogress, was pretty well done. It's an unapologetic old-school sword and sorcery film, the likes of which would never be made today.
Oh, my Lord. This is very uncomfortable.